So Babaji said, when somebody asked him, asked Babaji, who are you? He said, I am what I ought to be. That means I have become that which I should become. So this journey starts with acceptance. What is acceptance? If you look at the dictionary, consent to receive. That is acceptance. So then why are we not receiving? Because we are so caught up in this transactional plane. If somebody gives a birthday present to me, I am already asking, when is your birthday? Why? Because I want to give a return gift. I'm not accepting the gift. That's what it means, in a true sense. So, and I've made this observation. You go to any temples. You know how people walk into the temple? Have you seen it? You observe, like their body shrinks, contracts. Why? They are going with an idea of receiving. And also, that receiving has to be returned with bhakti. That's the idea. I have to become more and more devout to receive. See, there also is a transaction. To receive from God, I have to become a bhakta. What's happening? My body is my consciousness. It's a reflection of the consciousness shrinking reflects in the body. How can you receive when your consciousness is shrinking? And again, most of you would have experienced when in India, especially in the temples, when you give money to a beggar or you give anybody, you feel the expansion in the body. While giving, your body is expanding. And while receiving, your body is contracting. You see? And the beggar receives like this. And he is showing his humility or whatever to you in return. See, there is always, without our knowledge, with the idea of receiving, we are trying to return it. Okay. The moment there is an idea of returning it, you are not receiving it. So this is acceptance. So I should receive with an expansion of my consciousness, not the contraction. Okay. So when this idea of transaction goes away from my system, then I am ready to receive fully, totally. So then it doesn't matter what I am or what I am not. The only idea is what I ought to be is the only thing which is there in acceptance. That is also means willingness. Babaji said, the only qualification required for someone to take up spirituality is willingness. Correct? What is that willingness means? Again, sometimes English is a misleading language. Like Amitabh Bachchan says, English is a funny language. Right? So here willingness is again the same thing.
Acceptance.
I am willing to become what I should become. It is not willing to try meditation. And this also means when Babaji said, when religion ends, spirituality begins. How does religion ends? Means when your transaction ends in your mind. A lot of people took it as, I should stop going to temples. I should stop worshipping or in the religious way. All these things. But he truly meant was when transaction ends in your mind. You can begin spirituality because you can receive that spiritual essence, knowledge only when your transaction ends in your mind. Right? So the transaction should end in our mind to receive. That's where the acceptance begins. Make sense or not? Right? So now for me to receive, another quality which is most required is I have to be available. Then again, what is this availability means? Availability means lot of things. Right? You cannot explain anything in one sentence. And my wife always complains, you beat around the bush. You don't give the answer. If I give the answer, you will never understand the answer. I have to build the story around it. Then the answer makes sense. Right? Otherwise, there is nothing to say in spirituality, if you ask me honestly. Right? So this, I don't know if you remember this story. I forgot the name of the saint. Is it Ramdas, Tulsidas, someone? Okay. Kalidas. He was a drunkard, sitting on the street, eating pan. And there is another saint meditating on the other tree, under the another tree. And this goddess Saraswati comes to give the entire knowledge to the saint who is sitting. And she comes in the form of a prostitute. And the saint who was supposed to receive her knowledge shoos her away, thinking that she is a prostitute. So she was ready. She was eating pan actually. And this guy who was sitting on another tree, drunkard, invites the lady. And she spits the pan in his mouth. And he becomes the saint. The saint who is supposed to receive the knowledge did not receive. Why? Because he is not available. Drunkard who is not interested in anything, he was available. See how the paradox of this availability happens in spirituality. Right? Same thing when you look at Mahabharata, the Arjuna surrenders to the Lord, Bhagavan Krishna, and says, now I am confused. I don't know what to do. Now I have surrendered to you. Tell me what I should do. Then the whole Bhagavad Gita comes out. And the Krishna, instead of all this Bhagavad Gita, so many 700 plus shlokas, he could have said, go to the war. One sentence. But he did not give the answer in one sentence. So you have to be available. So he was available. If Arjuna was not available, Bhagavad Gita would have never happened. In the midst of the war, it happened. Because he is available. He was available to receive without any transaction in the mind. So this is the key idea, aspect of availability. One aspect. The second aspect, I was saying this in our center last week. A rickshaw puller works very hard, makes his living. He thinks if I become an auto driver, my life is set. Right? And the auto driver thinks if I become a cab driver, my life is set. Right? Like that. So always we are seeing the next level. The rickshaw puller is never thinking of becoming Bill Gates or starting Microsoft or Apple, whatever. Right? Is only the perception is only to the next level. But in spirituality also, we are so caught up in our own world, our own indulgence. Even sometimes meditation also becomes an indulgence. Right? Not sometimes. Always meditation becomes an indulgence. Why? Because, see, it's like the rickshaw puller, to make some extra money, what is he doing? He's working extra hours. Okay. That's it. He's not thinking, if I become an auto driver, for the same 8 hours I can make extra money. You understand the point there? So that means, if I, in that possibility of seeing the next level is there in my mind, I'm going in the same cycle to make that extra, and without knowing what that extra is. Right? So unless I see the next state, how can I progress spiritually? I'm doing the same meditation, same cleaning, and say, oh, we'll say Master is going to take care of it. That's another fallacy. Who is going to take care of it? You have to take care of yourself. Okay. Important thing to understand here. So my spiritual practice from now on, pray, do whatever you want. Pray and do whatever you can for that next condition to be available for you guys. Otherwise, the same meditation, same cleaning, same prayer, same, you are in the same cycle like that extra rickshaw guy working extra hours. You might feel some extra bucks, but your life is not improving. We have to recognize this next condition somehow. Babaji said, always the next condition is visible to him. Now this is what happens. So when a rickshaw puller thinking of becoming an auto driver, he is not struggling. He will strive, he will crave to do whatever is to get an auto. So when you see the next condition, then only the craving, so-called, we say in spirituality, begins. Otherwise there is no craving, there is only suffering, struggling. When you see the next condition, you work to achieve that next condition. When you see the possibility of attaining that condition, you work towards it. Recently in one of the talks, Daji was saying, it's like Babaji was washing his face in a bathroom, and suddenly he thought about emulating Lalaji's, his master's condition. And then Lalaji appears and says, you've already emulated. If you see the real essence of this narration, Babaji saw the possibility of attaining his master's condition. The moment you see the possibility, you become available for that condition. Otherwise, it's not happening for you guys. Okay. That's what the spiritual progress means. That's what the craving means. Otherwise, what is craving? Even in Sanskrit language, if you read Gita, it talks about mumukshatva. Mumukshatva means what? Craving for the liberation. How can you crave for something when you don't know that it exists? Then what are we craving for if I don't know what condition I must attain? There is no craving. Right? See, when I came to US, there is no pizza in India. Right now, everybody knows pizza. I don't know, something called pizza exists, like a food, when I came to US. Okay. I'll tell you a funny story, okay? You know this, what we call the poppets. You know, it's a rolling poppet. We used to, when we kids, we used to put it on our finger and used to eat it. Okay, I don't know what is the English term for it. Huh? Vadiyalu, whatever. English.
Fryams.
Yeah, fryams with the shells. So when I walked second day, after we moved into the apartment here in Cary, I went with my friend to the grocery store. There is a whole shelf of those fryams. Whole shelf. I was so excited, even Americans eat this. Those shells, okay? And then in my greed, I bought 5 packets of it. And then I'm putting in the oil and they're not popping up. And then I tried to read it says some pasta, okay? I never ate pasta in my life before. I did not know something pasta exists. So, this is how you become available by understanding what is the next. Now I can make good pasta, by the way.
Without trying.
Without trying. So, you see how the life is? Okay, we understand there is master, he is in a high spiritual condition. I cannot just say I want to reach his condition unless I feel that condition to get there. Correct? So we must become available. One of the beauty or the great thing about heartfulness is the transmission. What is transmission is nothing but the highest condition which is invoked from inside within us. And that highest condition is taking place in every meditation we have. And I keep repeating this story. One of my friends called me and he said, we talk about this highest goal in heartfulness, Sahaj Marg. How many of people reach this highest goal? This was his question. If only 1 or 2 people have reached, my possibility of me reaching is very meek. Right? Then I told him, everybody who meditated have reached the goal under heartfulness system. In their first meditation, they have reached the goal. The only thing is, have you recognized it or not is a separate story. The moment transmission is important to you, you are put in the state of the goal. But am I available to feel it? I'm not. I'm so caught up in so many things. And I have my own imagination of what that condition is. Right? And then we keep projecting all these conditions without knowing what it is. So, before when I sit for meditation, tell yourself that whatever is given to me today, I'm available totally for it. If you're not available, it is lost. Okay. And sometimes it takes a lot of meditations to feel the condition we got in our first meditation. Okay. So, every time you sit for meditation, tell yourself, I am totally available for it. After that, let your mind go wherever it has to go. We measure our meditations based on whether I have thoughts or no thoughts. It's a not applicable idea. Okay? For meditation. Thoughts or no thoughts have nothing to do with your meditation. But that is the parameter we choose always. So I am now struggling with my thoughts. How can I be available for meditation? Right? So when, my mother recently went through some surgery and she was having, some severe infection in her mouth because it was a throat cancer. And the doctor is checking her mouth, putting his finger inside her mouth, and then talking to somebody, some friend he was managing business on the phone while checking. Is he available? And I was standing right in front of him. Then I looked at him. Then he realized he's not doing the right job. He asked me to get out of the place.
What did he observe?
Yeah. So this is what says when you are not available, you cannot finish the job effectively. Okay. So my meditation I have done, I've spent half an hour, precious time of my day, 1 hour, whatever. But job undone. So every time you sit, it is not about the half an hour you are sitting. It is not about thoughts or no thoughts. It has nothing to do with meditation, by the way. Nowadays I'm quoting this example. When a pilot takes the flight off into the air, the pilot is still seeing the traffic on the road. Oh, there is a traffic. Should I slow down? Should the pilot think like that? Should the pilot slow down when he sees the traffic on the road? Why not? And I suddenly see a red light on the road. Should he stop the flight? Why not? Different dimension. So the moment you close your eyes, you go into meditation, you are in a different dimension. Like the pilot is seeing the traffic on the road, your thoughts are appearing in your mind, in your consciousness. What should I do with them? Even this ignore is a very bad, wrong idea. Okay. I'm seeing them. That's okay. See, you cannot alter your awareness. If I'm seeing Srinivas, I am seeing Srinivas. I cannot look at Srinivas and assume to see the Lord Krishna. It's not going to happen. Right? So you cannot alter awareness. That's another biggest fallacy we try to do in our meditation is whatever is becoming aware to us in our meditation, we cannot alter it. We cannot change it. So then you become a witness to observe whatever comes to your awareness. If you are become a witness, you become available for your meditation. Even if you are an observer, you are not available. Then you are caught, you are indulged in your observance. Even observation is a very wrong idea here. You become a witness. It's like, imagine you are watching a movie without any remote control. You cannot fast forward, you cannot move backwards. You cannot alter the story you see on the movie. Right? You cannot save the heroine. It is what it is, whatever you are watching. So you become a witness like that. Same thing. Know that you don't have any remote control when you meditate. Know that you cannot alter the story which is appearing to you, which you are witnessing. So then you become just a mere witness. Then you will feel the shift in your consciousness automatically by itself. Right? When you go to bed, can you tell? You can go into sleep in a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You cannot control it, right? You wait, sleep happens. You fall asleep automatically. Same thing with the meditation. You wait, become a witness, become available, and meditation happens. Then you are available to receive the transmission. Then you know the condition, the current state. Then you know the next state. Then you know what you ought to become. That's it. So meditation is the most simplest, easiest thing to do. And the impact of it in your life is very high. That's one thing. And the second aspect of meditation. Suppose you fell asleep. You went into a deep sleep. When do you know that you are in a deep sleep?
You won't know. Once you are awake.
Well, after you're awake, you will say, I am in deep sleep. So, the condition of the meditation is also like that. When you're coming out of meditation, you know the condition which happened before. So, to carry the condition when you come out of meditation, give some time to assimilate that condition, make it yours, and then carry it into your life. That's the important thing. Otherwise, it's lost again. If you're not giving that 5 minutes extra to your meditation to assimilate the condition, it is lost forever. So that means you cannot see the next condition. You cannot have that craving. The same thing again and again you're doing. It's like you're dipping an empty, the bucket, bottomless bucket into the well. It fills up, you pull it out, no water, nothing is retained. Right? So we have to carry it. We have to bring it up into our life. That's another aspect of meditation. So if you kind of pay attention to few small things and make it a practice, make it a habit, see how the transformation happens. Otherwise, you can be doing this for next 1,000 years if your life permits. You'll be in the same level. Right? So to make this progress faster, these are the few aspects you have to keep in your mind and work on it. And it's easy, it's effortless almost. It's just a mental intention. That's all it requires. Right? And anybody who comes for meditation, I'll tell them, they'll say, why are you coming here for meditation? He says, to become calm. Then I said, sorry, this is not the right thing for you. I tell them on face. Why? Because it's your intention matters in meditation. If your intention is to become calm, what is the idea behind it? That I am not calm? Right? See, this always is the opposite, takes the precedence. Right? And then you are meditating on the uncalmness. What will you become? You become that which you meditate on. You become uncalm for good. That's what happens with meditation. So your intention, your object of meditation has to be very clear in your mind. It is not to become calm, it is not to become focused. That's why any positive thing you think about, there is a negative thing as a base. Okay? If I say I always tell the truth, that means I am thinking of the possibility of lying. Okay? If I say I am going to be healthy, that means I can become sick. You see, you cannot have a positive thought without the negative thought backing it up. That's why this whole positive thinking is trash. Let me tell you that. I'm sorry to use that word. It's trash. So what spirituality is teaching you is to go above. That's why if you observe Lord Krishna's life, maybe this will be my theme for tomorrow's talk. If you observe Lord Krishna's life, he did not conform to anything. He did not held on to any dharma. He is become above. The moment you are not held on to anything, you become above that. Whereas Bhishma held on to his celibacy, his loyalty towards the throne, he ended up on the wrong side. Had he been loyal to had he been above dharma, he was not held by anything. So that is what the Krishna's life is teaching. And you apply that in our every meditation. We are not upholding anything here. We are not conforming to anything here. So then I become above all the positives and negatives. If I say by meditating I become good, then you become very bad. So you have to go above. Then don't hold on to anything as an objective for your meditation. That's why you see the instruction is very clear. The instruction is that I am connecting with this higher essence which is already there in me. And this higher essence has no opposites. What is the opposite of higher essence? We cannot say lower essence, there is no lower essence. So the godly essence, godly presence has no opposites. If I think of meditating on that essence, I cannot possibly meditate anything opposite. If I meditate for peace, I am meditating on non-peace. If I am meditating for happiness, I am meditating on sadness. If you are meditating for, and you put a fill in the blank, your meditation is working on the opposite. Is underline this. If I am meditating on that essence which is already there and which has no opposites, and that becomes prominent in my life. Right? So I'll pause here for any observations, comments, questions. Further discussion will go on based on what you say. Otherwise, I'll be quiet.
So when we're thinking, like you said, like positive thinking.
Yes.
You said like it's absolutely not possible for us to go positive thinking because you have opposite reaction to it. But if you have
opposite idea behind it.
There's always a negative behind it because it's dependent on each other.
Right.
When you think of the positive, you think, oh, there's also this negative, right?
Thank you. And your name?
Mahati.
Mahati.
Her daughter.
Her daughter, yeah. See? You have a wise daughter.
But we always say, right, like, think positive, though your like mind is thinking something might happen. If you positively think about it, things might be positive, right? Do you agree for that idea?
Okay. And yes and no. For me, whenever you are asking me a question like this, the answer is always yes and no. That's how spirituality is. In spirituality, there is no definite answers. It is all very dynamic. If you are looking for a definite answers, then it becomes religion. It doesn't become spirituality. See, I'll tell you, the simple thing is, if I want to make positive stronger, then the subtle is the negative. So what happens, then the subtle is what is expressed. That's why, in the spirituality also you say, give a very subtle supposition. The subtler the supposition, the more effective it becomes. Because only the subtle is understood by the nature. And everything which is subtle, intended, nature bestows it. The stronger the something, it has become the grosser. The nature cannot respond to it.
It's already manifested.
Manifestation is a big word.
Next question.
But I'll go into that topic as well because you brought it up.
I want to ask maybe a
Yeah,
follow-on
right.
question, and then also you said something about you shouldn't. If you said like I'm looking for calmness, I shouldn't be starting meditation. I have two questions. So one is like, does the positive thinking? I understand you want to become neutral, but raise above it, positives and negatives.
Right.
But does the positive thinking more conducive to that, or negative thinking more conducive to that?
Both are conducive depending on the situation.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
That's the key, right? Like
That's the key.
That's the key.
See, I'll tell you, when the children are not behaving, the mother is supposed to get angry to control the situation, to make it conducive. When the children are behaving, the mother is still shouting, then it works in the opposite way. The children start behaving bad. You see, that anger is conducive for the situation when there is bad behavior. And calmness is conducive when the children are in good behavior. You see that? So in our nature, all these things are there for a reason. That's why in spirituality, it's all inclusion. There is no negation, exclusion in spirituality. Spirituality is all inclusive. Anything you say this is not spiritual, then you are not in spirituality. Okay.
Means anything not in,
Huh?
in some examples.
I just gave you, right? If the mother says, "Oh, I'm spiritual, I should never get angry," the children keep behaving bad. See, there is one a lecture I was listening. I think this is from what is his name? The Arshavidya Gurukul. I'll remember his name. I'm very bad at my names. I was just telling somebody. Even my wife, I call her different names every day.
That's scary.
And she got used to it. Whatever the name I say, she will respond.
Because she is the optimist practitioner. Right?
You are lucky.
See, that is a good example of positive thought.
Krishna has so many names. So the question that I had, unless you want to elaborate, is that you said like someone looking for calmness, they shouldn't start meditation. Then you also said prior to that unless you see the next condition, you're not going to be available to seek it, right? What is it? I think like most of us and a lot of us, when they start, they don't have the vocabulary to express what eventually they're looking for, right? So when they say calmness, maybe that's in their vision, and then they sit in the meditation. In the first meditation, they already get it. Then they are able to see past that, and then they're willing to admit, why shouldn't I let them say that you should meditate? Just because I said calmness is shouldn't be the end goal for meditation.
Okay. So let me kind of elaborate on this. Basically, first, when you made that statement, right, we should not meditate for calmness, or we should not start meditation for calmness.
Mm-hmm.
I did not say we should not start meditation for calmness. What I said, if your intention of doing meditation is for calmness, you will actually get the opposite effect. Okay. But now I'll make another statement. If you know what is calmness, you will have calmness. The problem is, we don't know what calmness is. I'm trying to escape my current state. You see the point there? Mm-hmm. And Babaji himself said, if you want calmness, count from 1 to 100. you will have calmness. If you cannot get calmness after counting 100, count till 1000. You'll have calmness. So, that is the problem is when I say I want to be calm, I'm not liking my own mental state. I'm very uncomfortable. I don't like my thoughts. So I'm trying to escape this situation. That's all my idea of calmness is. Correct? Agree? And when we talk about peace also, it's escaping from this state of mind. Is peace. Only this thing should stop. One old lady came to me, in Charlotte, I think, when I was there. Oh, she said, I am here to have calmness. I said, what happened to your calmness? She said, I'm going through a lot of things. Okay. Oh, okay. So then before these things have begun, you must be in calm? She said, no, something else was there. And you won't believe, we went all the way to her elementary school. She was not calm from elementary school. She was already in 60s. So, and then I said, if you have never experienced your calmness in your life, how do you know calmness? You see the point there? If you know what calmness is, you will have it. If you know what peace is, you will have it. The problem is we don't know. So we don't know when I'm asking for calmness, what exactly I'm asking for. I'm only asking to escape from this situation. When the idea of escape is there, it's not happening. And you are again meditating on the idea of that escape only. So that's why this guy, famous physicist, Richard Feynman, most of you might have heard of him, right? There's a book written by him. What do you think what the other people are thinking, or why do you care what the other people are thinking? Something like that is the title. He says if everybody is peaceful in the world, we don't know what all the problems people are going to face after becoming peaceful. Okay. So even peace is a problem if you see it that way. Unpeace is also a problem. But unpeace is also good and peace is also good. Again, to back it up by example, right? Once Babuji, when this Shahjahanpur ashram was getting constructed, there's some sand lorry or cement lorry is supposed to come. Babuji walks out of his house, go check on the road if the lorry is coming or not, he'll walk in. He'll walk out and walk in. He was doing that all day. And Chariji was next to him and he asks, Chariji says, Babaji, you being the master of the world, if you are worried, then what about others? He says, Dekho, without worry you cannot work. See, the worry is also required, even for the master. So this eternal calmness, eternal peace, itself is something unnatural. Okay. But it is like the pendulum of the clock. You see that clock is swinging this way and that way. We are swinging between the opposites like that. Right? So there is a balance point. We are swinging towards peace. There is a balance point. We are swinging towards the unpeace. This is how the life goes on, and both are required. I cannot avoid peace, I cannot avoid unpeace. Both are required. But the problem is, the pendulum went this way and stuck. Okay, we don't know how to go here. And this pendulum starts swinging when we start accepting it. Means, when we recognize the higher goal, it starts ticking. Until then, it's stuck in one direction. Okay, so that's where it begins.
Being available will help us in cleaning practice. This one, like any context or.
So being available is an attitude. So the attitude, once you have the attitude, you will apply into every facet of your life. You'll apply in your relationships, you'll apply dealing with your colleagues, neighbors, friends, family. It is applied in your cleaning, it's applied in your prayer, it's applied in your practice, it's applied in your life basically. So attitude is applied not for a particular thing. Attitude is applied across.
So that's why Master also mentioned many times.
Yeah.
You are not the meditation. 95% is your guide.
Yes.
95 or 90.
Yes.
So like when I meditate, I think it's I can get in the state and I can like be like meditating, but I find it hard to like keep on meditating, and I feel like I get out of it after like maybe 5 minutes instead of like doing it for 30 or 1 hour. Do you have any like advice for that on like what I can do?
Very good question. Now I'll give you a new concept here. How about that? So to answer your question in one word or in one sentence, yes and no. Okay. See, the spiritual progress, think of it as like a vertical line. You know, it's like your y-axis and x-axis, correct? Spiritual progress is on the y-axis. Okay. And what happens? I'm at this point on y-axis. Okay, at 0 and 1 on y-axis. So as I meditate, there is an expansion. So I'm expanding. So I'm like a point and I'm expanding. Correct? On that point. As I'm expanding, my conditions become better. Right? So there is an expansion also has to have a threshold. When I hit this threshold, you will say, this is the best meditation I had so far. Okay? There you are meditating for 1 hour. Without it, thinking it's only 1 minute. Okay? But when you began at the point, even 5 minutes, 1 minute feels like 1 hour. But you are expanding, you are cleaning, you are practicing daily practice, meditation, prayer, cleaning, you are expanding. When you hit the threshold, you are not allowed to expand beyond that threshold. Because this deep meditation has its own certain joy, bliss in it. We want that more and more. We being the human beings, we like that. We want to continue in that state. Then what happens? You can infinitely expand in horizontally, right? But where you are stuck at the same level from a y-axis perspective. So there is little bit of expansion. Once this happens, the next morning meditation or next Sunday satsang you attend, you are pushed to the next state. What happens? You are starting again at the point. Then you cannot meditate for 1 minute. Here, yesterday you meditated for 1 hour without even thinking about 1 hour. But today you cannot meditate for a minute. But you have to keep at it. That's okay. If you don't meditate, close your eyes, scold all your friends whom you don't like. That's okay. But give half an hour. Okay? Somehow manage half an hour. You wait and manage half an hour. But now you slowly expand. As you expand, then again until you hit the threshold, now you are meditating 1 hour. Best meditation again. You are pushed to the next level. Then you are beginning again. So in spirituality, that's why you are always beginning it somewhere. So just because I meditated 1,000 years, by the way, I'm 2,000 years old. Just because we meditated 1,000 years doesn't mean you're eternally in bliss. Because this is an infinite line, this is an infinite horizontal. And some people have stuck in a horizontal path also. The greatest example is Buddha. You will be surprised to hear that, right? He kind of expanded at a little higher level. He attained nirvana and he thought that is the best. And he continued expanding horizontally instead of going vertically. That's why he's stuck in that limbo. Have you seen this movie? What is that? What is that movie? Where he goes into a different conscious state and he's stuck in a limbo.
Interstellar.
Not Interstellar.
Oh, he goes to the fourth dimension.
Castaway.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Huh?
Castaway.
No. Anyways,
You should tell us that movie now before you go.
I'll remember it in a minute. It's just my receptors in the brain are slow. What is this
Astral City?
hero of this Titanic movie? What is his name?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Inception.
Huh? Inception. Inception is the movie. So Inception, he goes into a limbo. He's stuck there. You cannot come out of it because it feels good. This is what happens when you grow horizontally, infinitely. You're stuck. And that's why it says Buddha will be the last soul to liberate even after Mahapralaya. Means when the entire dissolution happens, that is the last soul because he's stuck there so much. So when you're stuck in this is called, Babaji described it as Avaduta Gati. They have become the Avadutas. In Indian tradition, Avaduta means somebody who has achieved highest level. But in a true sense, Avaduta is who is expanding horizontally. It could be at the lowest level, it could be little higher level, but they're expanding horizontally. Because they don't have a guru to take them up. Okay? So, this is what happens. So now we are looking at the vertical growth. And we are constantly, this state is changing. Expansion, contraction, expansion, like this you are going. Right? So here, you cannot meditate. That doesn't mean it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. That means you started at the next level. But if it's a constant thing, then there is no expansion happening here. So somehow we have to change that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Like I told you, right? Unless you bring up the topic, I don't know what to say.
We can continue the
Manifestation.
manifestation.
I'm still waiting to hear on that one.
Okay. Then I have to go to the beginning, the Genesis. How many of you read Genesis? Good. So, you have a good daughter. Can I adopt her?
And she's a good listener too.
Yeah.
Comes from dad.
Her favorite. If you ask her what her favorite book is, she says Truth Eternal.
Oh, nice. No, that's true. I mean, to me also, the best book I've read in our heartfulness literature is Truth Eternal. And I have read that almost 20-25 times by now. Okay. And recently I ordered 500 books of spiritual anatomy. And my wife said, what are you going to do? I said, by end of my life, I want to read 500 books. So, anyways, manifestation. So this is actually on my YouTube video channel. If you watch, I made a video, God is not the cause. That's the video title. God is not the cause. So to give you with an example, right? The sun is shining, everybody knows that. It's not a secret. But there is a secret behind it. Anyway. and there's a water fountain, or the droplets are coming out, and each droplet is reflecting the sun. Correct? And when the droplet reflects the sun, it's creating a rainbow from the droplet. Can you say that sun created the rainbow? But because of the sun, the rainbow is there. But sun did not create the rainbow. Sun is not thinking about the rainbow at all. Sun doesn't know anything about the rainbow. And if the sun is a conscious being, I'm saying, and sun doesn't know that rainbow exists. Agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we say God created this existence. But imagine God like a sun. Something in between reflected this sun, took the reflection of this essence, godly essence, and created this entire existence. So if you look at this way, this entire existence is just a phenomena. There's no one thought about it. It just happened. Because of the characteristic of something in between. Right? This characteristics of something in between is, you can call it as consciousness. Okay? Then don't ask me how did consciousness came into existence. But it somehow happened. Then this manifested the entire existence. When it manifested the entire existence, the same qualities have prevailed. Recently someone asked a question on Reddit, on the Heartfulness blogs. He said, I'm told that this entire existence is within me. All existence is within me. And I'm feeling so much heavy, I'm getting headaches. No, this is a real question. If you don't believe me, I'll show you it. This is a real question. And one Pandit responded with a big answer. Then the next Pandit came into manifestation, which is me. And so I explained. Suppose he pick a droplet from the ocean. All the characteristics of the ocean are in the droplet. So, philosophically, very loosely, I can state that the entire existence of the ocean in that water droplet. That doesn't mean the water droplet is holding the water of the entire ocean. In the same thing, all existence, all manifestation is holding that character. That only means that. So don't put so much heaviness on yourself. And I told that guy to seek medical help.
Maybe people are
So,
sarcastic.
So, what I'm saying is, there is no cause in the God. The cause means, why there is no causation? Because it is not a conscious being. The cause and effect only starts later. So from this rainbow, we all came into existence, the whole manifestation. The entire galaxies, planets, whatever, whatnot. Whatever we see is all manifestation like that. And this manifestation, because it has all the qualities in it, is manifesting again. And one of the best tools we have to connect with that consciousness is the mind. Through our mind, we are making all these projections and they are manifesting in our life. Okay? So everything we are manifesting. And that's why, again, this is here, I'll tell you something about the prayer in our heartfulness. The importance of the prayer. So here the importance of the prayer is, the second line of the prayer, if you see. We are yet but slaves of our wishes, putting bar to our advancement. yet but slaves of our wishes, putting bar to our advancement. What is wish here? A wish is the most subtlest thought. You can call it positive, negative, desire, mental projection, but it is very subtle. Suppose you met somebody, one of your friend met with an accident, you go and see that friend. And that friend will say, you know what, I knew this was going to happen. How many times have you heard that?
This one's it.
How did they know before it happened?
Mind creation.
There is a subtle inner wish. It manifested. Any inner wish, any inner thought, the more subtler it becomes. You know it, but you don't know it. It will manifest. And we, as human beings, we cannot manifest anything better. Even in the movie you are watching, one guy is going, the hero is going in a car. What do you expect to happen? Something has to happen. Something has to go wrong. Correct? We cannot say, oh, the hero is going to reach safely home. Then I'm not paying for the right movie. Right? Even when we were in Charlotte, the racetrack was right next to us. And one of my colleagues, they were always, 1 week before, they put a tent over there and sit with the near racetrack. Said, what makes you go to the races, car races? I mean, he says everybody is anticipating to see a crash. That is the most exciting moment of the race. It's not about who is winning or who is losing. See how human mind is thinking? Right? So, that's why I'm saying, these positives and negatives,
Yeah.
how they are getting manifested, what is the real intention, the subtlest is manifesting.
So in that case, right, coming back to what Niti had asked in the beginning, so you should really think about the positive things, right? Because they are manifesting. I would rather think about positive than the negative, right?
I'll come to your question. Let me finish this statement.
Okay, sorry.
No, you can ask. See, you can interrupt me anytime because this is not a talk or a speech, right? So, my wishes are putting bar to my advancement. The moment you acknowledge with the higher essence in your mind, basically you are nullifying all your wishes. When I nullify all my wishes, what is a positive wish?
Oh.
What is a negative wish? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
But even if I want to manifest positive, it already became a strong thought. It cannot be a subtle thought.
Okay.
It has already come to a grosser level. Nature cannot pay attention to anything gross because it cannot understand grossness.
Then how does it relate to that strong will? If you have a strong will, you can make things happen. How is that?
That is for the people who don't understand the real working of the nature. Even in Lord Krishna says, you have attained the highest saintlyhood even when your sankalpa becomes zero. I can actually show you the verse. He said that when your sankalpa becomes zero, you have become the highest.
That's interesting, actually. I did not.
So a master's sankalpa is almost zero. That's why his sankalpa works effectively. It can work across the globe, across the planets, across the stars. Right?
Interesting.
So the will is not what we thought is the will.
Yeah, that's what we always thought.
So like if you have like a thought and it becomes really strong, it kind of like tethers you, but it doesn't let you like reach the next stage. That's when
Correct.
it doesn't really help you, I guess.
So that's why meditation works when your will becomes subtler. Right? In other words, meditation works when your mind is absent.
So, this is coming back to the actual agenda topic, being available, right? So, is it the same as do one task at a time? Just focus on that one and not anything else? Being mindful about it? Or are they related or no?
So in computer, what we call the CPU, Central Processing Unit, right? We think computer is doing multiple tasks, but each CPU can only perform one task at a time. Okay. So if you have multiple CPUs, there are multiple parallel tasks are happening. So the human brain is equipped to do only one task at a time. If you are trying to do the multiple tasks, your brain becomes weak. Because you're jumping from one task to another task to another task to another task in a very short span of time. It makes the brain weak. Okay. In fact, Chariji once, I was like very much shocked when I heard this statement. He said the people who have done this, Shatavadanam, you know what Shatavadanam means?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Yes.
Shatavadanam, Ashtavadanam.
Yeah, Ashtavadanam.
So they have to answer, it requires a lot of multiprocessing.
Correct.
You probably don't know about it. So these are the scholars, Pandits. In a group of 100 people, the 100 people will be asking different questions.
I think I know.
And then they have to respond to all the questions randomly. They have to manage and they have to extemporally, they have to create poetry based on the questions they are asking, things like that. It's very tough. And he says, we think their brains are becoming strong and strong, but Chariji said their brains become weak, slowly. So it is very, very essential to grow above. So even and this has been, in fact, I was telling Srinivas yesterday while we were driving home from airport. This is the statement from Kabir. The Kabir says, if you oblige master or a guru or God, thinking that this is what they would expect, the master will become a devil and destroy you. So you have to have your own perspective, understanding to do a particular task, not because somebody says so. Okay. So this is the highest surrender, is to become totally independent. Highest surrender is not total dependency. Highest surrender is total independency. In spirituality, everything is reverse.
Contradict.
Yeah. That's why Babaji says invertendo. That's why to become the right Abhyasis, we all have to become stand-alone. We have to represent the master as if we are the masters. I cannot represent a master if I am this is what master said, I am obeying it. I was giving one workshop like this in Illinois, Bloomington. And then I asked, why do we meditate? And one girl said, because master says so. Then I told her, I feel very sorry for you, sister. Because you see the value in it, you meditate. Not master says so. Then your meditation is by your values, by your understanding, by your thought. Okay.
But how does then constant remembrance play a role in that? Because you would need to sense that you are the master. That's when you're going more deep into that state, right?
So what is constant remembrance?
topic a day long.
No, that's fine, but what is constant remembrance?
Feeling the presence of Master.
Okay, one answer.
Yes.
Being in the condition throughout the day what you have received in the meditation.
The maintaining the meditative state, remembrance of
Yeah.
that meditative
Yes.
state.
So that meditative state is the master. So how do you be in that state of meditative state? Unless you cherished it. See, mind, this is another aspect of the mind. Mind gets glued onto whatever draws your attention. Suppose something went wrong. Okay, you fought with your husband. Whole day your mood is off. You're thinking about that incident again and again because your mind has caught onto it, latched onto it. Until it is replaced by something else, it will latch onto it. And if you don't allow it to be replaced also, it will latch onto it. Correct? But suppose if my mind can latch onto that condition we have experienced. For it to latch onto it, you must let it work on it for a few minutes. That's why I said when you come out of your meditation, the last 5 minutes are important. If you don't allow those 5 minutes for your mind to latch onto that condition, you cannot carry that condition. That means you don't have any constant remembrance. Right? So continuing that condition until your next meditation is constant remembrance.
I wanted to go back to the prayer thing that you said, you touched on it, or the second second line of the prayer. Can you just elaborate a little bit on the night prayer, the importance of that for the morning meditation?
Yes. So then here now the question is, what is prayer? How should I understand the prayer? The basics, right?
Yeah.
So, the more basics we kind of stay with, the more advanced we become. It's all invertendo again. The more advanced you want to become, the less advanced you become. So, the more basic you want to become, the more advanced you become. That's how spirituality works. The more zero you become, the more advanced you are. So, what is prayer? Basic question, right? What is prayer? Anybody can answer. Put it in your own words. There is no right answer, wrong answer here, okay?
Being conscious.
Trying to connect with a
Source, where we came
connect
from.
with something.
Right.
It's like making a
Being
phone
pure.
Yeah.
Making conscious where you can speak very transparently.
Okay.
Realizing
Connecting to the
yourself.
higher self.
Connecting to the higher self.
invoking. Request, making a request.
Invoking. So, prayer is intention. Prayer is way of life. Acknowledging the way of life is prayer. So, in prayer, what we are doing is all these sentences we are basically saying, it's acknowledgement of the facts as our masters have put it. To kind of little elaborate it more, it's not only an acknowledgement, it is an intention for it to manifest in our lives, a subtle intention. Now, when I say the master, oh master, someone asked me, how do I know I am progressing in spirituality? Right? This was a long time back. Now I kind of recall it. When you say the oh master, the first sentence, how much you really mean to be in that state? how much you really understand the condition when you say, "Oh Master." Just the "Oh Master," the way it comes out of your life, in your mind, "Thou art the real goal of my human life." How much you really mean it tells you whether you're progressing or not. That first sentence tells you how much you're progressing. How much you really mean it. How much you're really looking forward to become that goal. As if that is transitioning, it's that change is changing as you practice, then you're progressing. Okay. That's the first sentence of the prayer. Second sentence I have already explained. It nullifies all your wishes. At the same time, you're acknowledging that, okay, I have all these subtle manifestations in my life. They should go away for me to become the real essence. Correct? That's second line of the prayer. Now, thou art the real God and power to bring us up to that stage. Now, this God and power is something very confusing. A lot of people say, is God not power? Then why God and power? And why are we saying God has to bring us up to that stage and power? What is exactly God and power to bring us up to that stage mean? Go deeper into it. So, from a Shastra's perspective, there is Purusha and Shakti. Purusha means the real God essence. Purusha doesn't mean man. But somehow this Purusha, since is associated as a masculine gender, is somehow they associate it with the man, but it's not the man. It's a Purusha is the real godly essence. And the Shakti is the feminine gender, but it is the power. A power is required to change my vibratory state because now I'm in a grosser manifested state with the essence behind it. Only if there is essence, the power becomes useless. If without essence also, the power becomes useless. Both have to be there. So now this master principle, to get to that principle, we need both in our harmony within us to get to that stage. So here there is no external entity. One thing we have to understand, in spirituality there is no external entity. It's inner harmony, inner balance, inner change. So when they come into harmony, I will reach that stage. Both are required. Okay. So when you say, I will it, make a strong will, then the Purusha is missing, only power has come into existence. The essence is missing. How will it work? So it's a subtle state. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is, now there is different aspects to the same sentence. A masterly principle, if it is God, he doesn't even know that we exist. Just like the sun don't know what the rainbow is. So God has no idea that there is existence. That's why in Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna says, you all exist in me, but I am not in you. You see the contradiction? You all exist in me, but I am not in you.
Ocean and the droplet.
Huh?
Ocean and the droplet.
No, ocean and even you can explain it in many ways. But here, the what this is saying is, the God has no idea to do anything for you as a human being. God doesn't understand what spiritual progress is. God doesn't understand what you are suffering from. God doesn't understand anything about whether it's money or no money. God doesn't understand stone versus diamond. It's all our knowledge. To something to help in my existence, I need someone with godly essence and the capability to change my life. So that is the masterly principle here, the first sentence when we are acknowledging the master itself. He is with the godly essence and the ability, human capability to bring me up to that stage. So in a way we are acknowledging this, we are totally surrendering to that principle and says, okay, here I am available again for you. That is the prayer. So in a way, my becoming available starts from the prayer, extends it to morning meditation. By the time when this is assimilated into my inner core being, I am 100% available for my meditation to receive the transmission and make it effective. So that's the transition, right?
Can you repeat that first line in the prayer, like, that
Oh Master,
no. I missed out that brief description what you give the first line.
thou art the real goal of human life. So, how much I mean really that I want to be in that state? How much I am really wanting to be in that state? Okay. That indicates the progress. If it is just a sentence, because it's in the prayer I am saying it, it doesn't mean anything to you. Though you understand the language, it doesn't mean anything to you.
So you mean first line is a surrender, second line is nullifying,
First line is the recognition of getting to that state.
Okay.
Second line is removing all my manifestations so that his manifestation will enter.
Okay.
Third line is the surrender. Or first line is the master recognizing the principle. Second line is to become that principle. Third line is to remove all our hurdles. Because we are manifesting our life. Who is creating the hurdles for yourself? It is you. Nobody else is doing it. So I have to remove those manifestations. And the fourth line is the surrender.
So the first line, O Master, refers to the real Master. It is written in the book.
The first line refers to the masterly principle which you can connect within you. See, if I say gravity, where is gravity? I cannot say it is in China, right? I can only feel gravity where I am. I am able to sit because of the gravity. So where is gravity? It's everywhere, but where is gravity for me where I am? So where is master? Where I am. Correct?
Following your role being available and then implementing it in your day-to-day activities, is it okay to say no?
No for what?
For something like somebody has something to do, is it, rather than being available, is it okay to say no to them?
Okay, so now the question is, again, when to say no, right? So now when I become available consciously, it becomes a 24-hour aspect. So available doesn't mean I stop all my activities. I stop all my service. I stop all my social aspects of life. That's not what not being available means. So I continue to attend everything internally being available. So I don't have to negate anything. That's why I said spirituality is not negation, not excluding. It's all inclusive. That means it inclusive of all my social, transactional, vyavaharik, they say, vyavaharik life. I'm not discarding anything here. So, but at the same time, now the discernment is, if I do this, does it lead into the right results or wrong results? I must decide. When this innerly I am available, the wisdom prevails more. When I am not available, the confusion prevails more. That's all the difference is. Should I drink alcohol or not? It's not the question of should I or should I not. The repercussions of it. So the wisdom truly means knowing the results of my action. When I know the results of my action, if I am available internally, my decision becomes more effective. If I am not available internally, I am always struggling between should I or should I not. This is a conflict. I am always in conflict. But when I am internally available, the conflict is removed instantly. Right?
On basic, I just came a little bit late. While the complete surrender, how the complete surrender would refers to the independence. Generally, surrender means to be independent.
So, suppose a very wealthy businessman has two sons. One is always asking what I should do. The second one takes the little guidance and works independently. So when the old man is about to die, who should he hand over the business to?
Second one.
Why not? The first one is more surrendered in your definition.
Yeah, correct. But you don't know in the spiritual world.
So in the spiritual world also, unless you make it your own value, if it is an inferred value, it can never be your value. Okay, it has to be your value. That means you are independent. So it's a dependent independency. It cannot be dependent dependency. You got it?
No, I got it in the real world. In the real world, material world.
Same thing, in spirituality also is the same thing. Unless it's your value, you cannot appreciate the spiritual value.
But problem is when you started being independent, you started questioning now. In case of
No, if you have the clarity, if it is your value, what you are questioning, your own value. The problem is you question it when it is not your value. Right? That's the thing. So if you go to the deeper thing, all is superficial. I am dependent means I am surrendering means I am kind of become a slave to it. Surrendering is not slave. That's why I am saying surrendering is becoming. That only. So if I become total independent, I am the master. I have become independent. Because now I cherish all the values of the master. If I am not surrendered, I am only toggling between whether that is the right thing or not, then you are questioning. You have not adopted all those values.
Is meditative path or meditative state, is it gender neutral? I mean to say actually a man, woman actually they have two different thoughts.
In spirituality there is no gender. That's why it's always the Purusha and Shakti. That's why I gave that introduction. So that Purusha and Shakti is in you or in the male and female, in dog and in ant, in everything, all essence of life.
here it comes. I have a small doubt in the complete surrender. Sometimes you are not able to take a decision due to the emotional attachment or anything. So then you will think, okay, I will surrender. Whatever the output comes, we will handle it. So that is also a kind of a dependent.
So when there is emotion is involved, you are glued onto the emotion. How can you make an independent decision when you are glued onto something? It's not possible. So in any emotion, whatever the decision you make, it backfires on you.
Okay, when I came inside, you told about the samskaras.
I did not even use the word samskara
No.
at all. Yeah.
You told something about that instead of the statement.
The sister wants to ask a question. Let's go ahead. Yeah. I'm an old man. I cannot hear well. You have to be louder with me.
The other you told that multitasking makes the brain weak.
Yes.
So being a mother, like we have that motherly instincts constantly. Like one part of the brain thinks of the child.
Yeah.
Another thing is the day-to-day routine work.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
you think mothers are weak?
That's not what I'm saying. See, even when you have become connected with the constant remembrance, all your attachments are also through that remembrance, all the work you are doing through that remembrance, then you are a good mother. So if you want to become a good mother, bring constant remembrance into it. Otherwise, what happens, you see, why the women are becoming emotionally weak is because of this only. In fact, Master has said, there are very few women masters. The reason is this strong attachment made them weak.
Okay.
Attachment to their family, husband made them weak. It doesn't mean you don't remove the attachment. You make that attachment through the remembrance. Then it becomes very ennobling.
To continue this question, I will ask that still I was running behind that what I was
Right.
saying. So this multiprocessing and multitasking in corporate world or anything, today people are skilled and they have been trying to do a lot of exercise, whatever you call it as. And even we have a bad doing proper medication, removing all the samskaras and having no dependency or no emotional attachment. So we can